All right. So profits are now personal, right? I don't know if you've heard that before, but we're entering a new era right now, a time when people are dying for authenticity, right? Especially with coaches and consultants, people that are out there pouring their heart out, helping other people. We want to bust a few myths about this marketing funnel and show you how to use it in a more personal way, because that's what's going to bring the profits in, right? We're all working hard, we're all doing the best we can, but we want the higher ROI. So let's go ahead. I still see there you go. So here's a question for you. How much have you spent? How much, and not just money, but time, energy, money, have you spent on courses, summits, other coaches, which, by the way, you should always have a coach, of course. But think about all the different marketing tools out there that we get inundated with by all these marketing, the gimmicks and the marketing companies. And they're just like, you need a landing page, sales funnels, websites, paid ads, lead generation, all this kind of stuff. I want you to think about how much you spent. And if you're willing to share, go ahead and put that into the chat. I would love to know. I've been kind of, Jay, by the way, I've been kind of thinking like, should I actually share how much I've spent these past few years on marketing? It's pretty unbelievable. So I could just tell you from experience that I've poured a lot of dollars into marketing. And this is before I really, was first getting started in the industry. And I know how easy it is and how much of a slippery slope it could be.
Yeah, there's no doubt I've spent over $10,000 if I add up all of these things, and that's probably just in the last 12 months. Yeah, so it's an expensive proposition no matter how you look at it.
It is.
So my question for you to follow up on that is, regardless of how much you've spent, is what's your ROI? Positive. Amen. God bless you if it's positive. Break even, negative, or you feel like sticking a needle in your eye. So again, put in the chat, have you gotten a positive ROI in the, I've seen, some people in there already, talking about thousands of dollars they've spent on things for this marketing, right? For this stuff that you were taught that we need to do this marketing, but who's actually making money from it?
I'm seeing negative, 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 negative. I haven't seen a positive. Oh, we got one positive.
I haven't seen a stick your needle in the eye, so that's good.
That would be me, by the way. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to tell you exactly how much I spent, but it's pretty gross.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about switching that up.
Yeah. So the real question though is, are you an awesome coach with a mediocre coaching business? And the thing about being an awesome coach is there's nothing more frustrating than looking at your perfect prospect, knowing that you can help them, but unable to reach them, unable to get them either into your funnel or get them into the process, to get to the sales conversation, to get to the point where they become your client. And that's especially draining on us coaches when we don't have that, we can't make that connection. There's something missing because we've got something in our way that's blocking us. So how do you know you're in the right place, right? This is based on what we're going to be talking about tonight. So maybe you've got a sales funnel. Maybe you don't even know what a funnel is, but maybe you've got a funnel and you don't even know how it works. You just know you're supposed to have one. So we go out and we get a funnel, right? That's what we're told to do. It's almost like school all over again. Study these subjects and then you'll be successful, right? Get a degree and you're good to go. So we're told that we need a funnel. So we go get a funnel. And then we end up, if we don't use it properly or we don't know how to use it, we'll go spend money on paid ads. We'll go to the Facebook developer and we'll go do some lead gen efforts. And that's not going to work for us. And then we go find this guru. We go find an influencer who says, I've got the script for you. This script made me $5 million. It'll make you $5 million too. And we're like, oh, okay, sure. And then it doesn't work. And by the way, we can talk about why that doesn't work. There's a very specific reason. And then if we get a few people in to do that one-on-one call with us, we get ghosted by 90% of them. They don't even show up and we don't know why. And then if we do end up getting on a discovery call, they actually show up, we realize that they're not even qualified. I hope you can feel this tangible
Sorry to
frustration here.
interrupt you, Josh, but
Yeah.
the other thing that happens is you get off the discovery call and after the fact you say, oh, well, they weren't qualified anyway because you didn't make the sale, right?
Right.
Sometimes they actually were qualified, but you're not very good at the selling part. So it's like a self-rationalization thing afterwards to say, oh, well, they weren't qualified anyway.
That's right. So you end up buying the easy pills. Look, just like in dieting, just like in exercise and fitness, there's no magic pill that's going to work, no matter what we've been promised.
All right. And then you're in the wrong place if what you're doing is selling low price programs. In other words, you're not trying to get high-end clients. And I define high-end randomly at $1,000 and higher. Your main goal is to brag about your huge email list. It's funny because so many people think that the goal is to get thousands and thousands of people into their funnel to build this social media following of thousands and thousands of people. But they still aren't making sales at the end of the funnel. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. You're willing to do a Zoom call with just about anybody that's a warm body. You love doing sales calls. We're going to talk more about sales later. You're willing to coach anyone willing to pay you. That's a mistake that so many coaches make, especially when they're first starting out, is not really niching down and qualifying and making sure you're working with the right people. And if you don't have enough coaching clients, some people do, and that's great. So hopefully you're in the right place for what we're about to talk about tonight.
Yeah, and if you have enough coaching clients, you should be on a coaching call right now. You don't need to be on this webinar if you got too many coaching clients, but that's typically not the case for a lot of us.
Yeah. So let's real quick give you a little background who we are if you're unfamiliar with us. My name is Jay Fairbrother. My company is the Profit Architects. I'm a serial entrepreneur for the last 30 years. Profit Architects, I think, is my 9th business. And I've done a lot of coaching and consulting in between. I've owned, with that many businesses, obviously I've owned more than one at a time. I've bought them, sold them, built them, scaled them to 200 employees, had some pretty good successes, but I've also had massive failures, which in my opinion makes me a great coach. So the thing that I do that pertains most to tonight and what we're talking about is I've always done a lot of sales training, building sales forces, that kind of thing throughout all my businesses. The past couple of years, I've been working specifically with coaches, giving them sales training and helping them learn how to convert more clients that they get in front of. And it's not only been very successful, it's really, it fuels my passion. I love working with coaches, and that's part of what we're doing with this program tonight. Josh?
Hey, I'm Josh. And some of you might already know me as the identity archaeologist. And yes, that it means exactly what it sounds like. It means I have no competition. And that sounds silly, I get it. But in business, that's actually a pretty fun place to be. And I don't even say that kiddingly. Now, I know I was telling jokes earlier, but when I say I have no competition, I actually do mean that. And I can explain how that works maybe a little bit later. But my focus is on bringing humanity back to business. I was told something in business school. I had my MBA. I went through many, many years of schooling. And they always said, Josh, business and emotions don't mix. Like, you got to be one person in your professional life and you got to be a different person over here in your personal life. And I always thought that was weird because I'm one person. So am I going to lie to my family or am I lying to my clients? Well, I don't believe in that anymore. I think we need to bring our business and our personal, we need to get rid of that line, eradicate that line right there. And we got to be more human in business. So that's what I focus on. And in relation to tonight, one of my favorite things to talk about, one of my favorite things to share is how do you make a compelling business first impression? How do you make such a compelling first impression that people want the second impression, which is where the sale happens? And so many folks were told to do it backwards. We present ourselves with products and all kinds of other stuff. How do you do that right? And that's what we're going to be focused on. And that's really, truly where my expertise is. In forms of personal branding, messaging, copywriting, and helping people really do, make killer presentations as well. So would you like more clients without spending more on marketing? This is called profitability, by the way, right? More clients without spending more. This is the key. We're not here to tell you to work harder, that you can do that on your own. We're here to show you a way to actually make more without having to spend more. And that's called skip.
I want to take a second and talk about skip the marketing, because just to explain what we mean there. So we're not dissing marketing. We're not saying marketing's bad. We're not saying sales funnels are bad. What we're saying is that so many coaches struggle with that middle part of the marketing funnel and spending all that money on it, and they think that's necessary. And what we're saying is, look, just put a pause on that. If you want to take your coaching level from here to here, maybe not from here to where up you can't see my hand, it goes so high, but if you want to get to the next level, whatever that level is for you, you can put a pause on all the middle of the marketing stuff if you're focused on getting the right people in the top and figuring out how to convert them at the bottom of the funnel. And that's what we mean by skip the marketing.
So let's talk about why most awesome coaches just aren't creating an awesome coaching business. They're not creating a business as awesome as they are, because most coaches know the value they're bringing. And it's a matter of how do you convert that into a business sense. So fatal flaw number one, we're gonna go through 3 fatal flaws here that we see coaches make over and over and over again. Fatal flaw number 1, you think your funnel is all you need, right? You got this magic funnel. We talked about that, like this magic pill, where if I just get this funnel, we buy this myth that the only way to get high-end clients is by getting them through the funnel through 18 different stages. I'm being a little obtuse there, but we take them through all these stages, and every stage has a cost to it, whether it be time, energy, money. It's always something, and we have to keep moving them along. So let's take a look at what we're talking about here.
And we're not saying that tiered approach is that there's anything wrong with that. It's an intelligent approach. But what we see happening is so many coaches struggle on having to build it all out before they start going after the cheesecake, the dessert, the high-end client, the $1,000 and $5,000 clients. And that's what we're saying, is that you don't necessarily need all those tiers. So basically this is what you would see as the typical marketing funnel, right? You've got your people coming in at the top. That's your lead magnets, whatever you're doing to get people onto your email lists and engage with them. And then you've got that big marketing part in the middle. That's the stuff that it really is impersonal, right? These aren't, one-on-one calls. These are, email drip campaigns. These are social media, posting, every other day for the rest of your freaking life. These are all the things that suck up a tremendous amount of time, energy, and money. And finally, you get down to the bottom when there's been no personalization in all that middle part. Sure, you're getting your content out there, people getting to know you and trust you through that, but it's a long process. And what we're saying is look at the funnel from this perspective.
Yeah, making it more personal. So if you look at the top of the funnel, which is like, let's call that your first impression. And then you look at the bottom of the funnel where you have that sales conversation. Those are the 2 most human parts of the funnel. Those are the parts where you get to build relationship, you get to build likability, that people get to really know you, like you, and trust you, which, right, is the secret to how do you convert into a client. And then we can minimize that costly aspect in the middle. In fact, you can actually skip it. If you have such a compelling first impression, if you win over someone's heart the first time you speak with them or the first impression they see of you, whether it doesn't have to be necessarily in person, it could be reading a profile somewhere, it could be seeing a video you put on social media, whatever that first impression is, if that's compelling, they're like, you know what? I like this lady. I like this woman. She's speaking right to me. I feel it. That you can go from that directly into a sales conversation without having to put her through the 15 different stages. And from that, you're actually going to convert more clients. And part of the secret here, by the way, is if you do the right compelling first impression, you've got about 80% of the close already done. right? You've already overcome so many hurdles that you would normally face in that sales conversation that you don't have to face now. That they're ready to listen to the details of your product. They're ready to understand more about your service. And that's really what we're talking about here, is focusing on the more personal aspects of your funnel. And to do that, you've got to bring it, right? This is where it comes to your personal skills, your personal development, your personal ability to really maximize those two aspects of the funnel.
Yeah. And we're not naive here. We do this. We get clients this way. So we're not saying that, all you need is some kind of, first impression that's a social media post or a LinkedIn profile, and then get them on, and you're going to close them on one call. Not that can't happen. I've done it.
It's
but
many times.
yeah, but so your sales process, that bottom red part of the funnel, that might still be a 2 or 3 call process. But the point is, you don't need all this stuff in the middle. You don't need them to buy, the $100 course before you can talk to them about, a $2,000 a month coaching package or a $5,000 a month coaching package. And that's what this whole concept is we're talking about with Skip the Marketing. All right, so let's talk about fatal flaw number 2, which is you just think the answer is getting more leads into the top of the funnel. And again, I see so many people making this mistake so often. They just want thousands coming in. They don't care, if it's opt in, opt out, they come in quickly, then they leave. That none of that matters. It's all about the numbers, right? And there's all leads are good leads. It's just a numbers game. I get 2% conversion. I'm told that's great by, this guru and that guru. And it's a big churn basically. And you've got to keep those thousands coming in. You've got to keep them coming in the top. You can't let up for a second. You take a break from those, frantic social media campaigns, or you stop your drip campaign for a week. And you get the picture. It's just a lot of work. Again, nothing wrong with it, right? What we're saying is focus on getting the right leads in, and then focus on being able to convert them by developing some selling skills, and not used car skills, but selling authentically, naturally, with integrity. And as I say, sell like you coach. You can get this done without the focus just on more leads.
That's right. And the key is, what are you selling at this point? Remember, you're in the first impression stage here. This might be the first time someone sees you or sees any of your content. So the question is, what are you selling? Now I'm going to ask that question, but I'm going to give you a little piece here that they don't teach in business school anymore, which is that people buy you first, your product or service second. And if they don't buy you first, they're not going to even look at your product or service. They're not going to touch it, no matter how much they need it, and no matter how great of a coach you are. So if that's truly the case, which it is, I've proven this out, this is basic human behavior and psychology, which are you selling first? Many people lead with product. This is not the time to lead with product. Just to get more leads coming in and just to start trying to fill people in and share your product, that's not what it's about. This is about, you got to sell your brand, let's call it. So let me give you a quick tip on how to do that. And it's called talk about what you do, not how you do it. So this is a little mind hack. This is going to be fun. So what do I mean by what do you do? Because when I ask most people the question, what do you do? I usually get back in return a borrowed title, right? I get a label. I'm a chiropractor, I'm a doctor, I'm a life insurance person, right? Or they'll give me something like, I sell life insurance, right? Okay, that's fine. But if you just think about that for a second, how many life insurance people say, I sell life insurance and investments? It literally, if you've heard one, you've heard them all. It's like cookie cutter. Or coaching, I do life coaching, great. But that doesn't tell me anything, because I've got 18 life coaches in my family. So are you just like the same as the rest? So I want you to talk about what you do. So in terms of the life insurance guy, for example, life insurance is not what he does. What he does is he makes sure my 4-year-old gets to go to college and afford it if I die in a car accident tomorrow. That's what he does. He makes sure my wife doesn't have to go on to GoFundMe and pass around the frickin' hat and beg for money while grieving my death. Because nobody should ever have to beg and grieve at the same time. That's what he does. How he does it is life insurance. So I want you to think of that in terms of your business. What is the transformation you're providing? That's closer to the answer of what do you do? And be careful, stop sharing how you do it. Stop sharing about your programs, that you do coaching. The coaching is just how you do it. I promise. That's not truly what you do. So if you can change that in your mind, change that in your thought process, and then start changing it in your language, you're going to find your first impressions are it's all your conversations are going to change. From that point, all the way forward through every other conversation you have with every prospect. It's going to change your energy. It's going to change the way you carry yourself. It's just going to change your entire outlook on your business. And I know I'm kind of pumping this up like it's something great, but it really is. It's that impactful.
It is great. And I love your content. I love what you do. And I don't want to encroach on that. But you know, when I do sales training, we talk about the same thing, right? And that's how I start is, you know, if you're at a cocktail party and someone walks up to you, a drink in hand, you have a drink in hand, what comes out of your mouth? And the stuff I hear is just, you know, well, I help business owners, wah, 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 right? The Charlie Brown teacher effect. And, you know, the response is typically like, okay, thanks a lot. I got to go to the bathroom. Yeah. So this is so important. And it's such an underestimated thing in terms of, you know, what people work on. I mean, you know, instead of working on, you know, the building that fancy sales funnel, if you really work on creating this first impression and making sure that the person who's attracted to you, and that's really the key word, that attraction is the key thing. Someone who's attracted to you is the right person to get into your funnel. And you don't need thousands of those. You know, I would take 100 of those. I'd be thrilled to have 100 of the right people in my funnel. And that's what, you know, everything that Josh talks about and teaches people achieves. And it's amazing.
Yeah. And it's hard to find the right people when you're in what I call the sea of sameness. So like Jay was saying, when you start using these borrowed lines and these other things, you just sound like everyone else. And then it makes it almost impossible for the right prospect to find you, because it's trying to find a piece of hay in a haystack or a needle in a needle stack, right? You're just like everyone else. So, but you're unique. I promise you've got something extremely unique you need to bring to the world, and it's got to come out in your first impression. It's got to come out in your message. And then you will find that first part of the funnel starts filling up with the right folks.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the third mistake that so many coaches make, which is just that they're losing people out the bottom of the funnel. I call it your funnel is leaking. You spend so much time, effort, energy, money getting people into that funnel, working, nurturing them through it to the end, and then you'll lose a bunch of them once you do a sales call and get in front of them one-on-one. And a lot of people don't even look at that in terms of the ratio, right? So whether you're converting 1 or 2 out of 5 that you get in front of, that's probably average. If you're converting 2 or 3 out of 5, that's above average, but you're still losing half the people that you got in front of. Now you can't sell everybody. That's impossible, right? No matter how qualified they are. There's legitimate...
I'd take that challenge though. That would be a fun challenge one day. We should try that.
There are legitimate reasons that people cannot buy at that moment in time. Maybe later, but not at that moment in time. So, you know, so many coaches think sales is just showing up and throwing up. So whatever work they did to get in front of somebody on a meeting like this, a Zoom or in person, hopefully someday, you know, they just got up and they are just talking about themselves, right? And so I say, okay, step back. You know, would you coach someone the way you just tried to sell them by showing up and throwing up? Of course not. You know, use the same kinds of skills that you have developed as a coach, that you've been trained for and developed as a coach, to sell, right? So you're going to ask questions. You're not going to talk a lot. You're not going to go into what I call professor speak and use the big words and flowery language to talk about, you know, how you do what you do. So the thing is, think about what if you, and so many coaches are afraid of selling, right? They have never had sales training. They're uncomfortable with it. They don't want to be, the used car salesman. They don't want to be pushy. So they're afraid. But think of if you had more confidence in selling, how much of an impact that would have. What would it mean? And actually, I challenge you to do this math. If you were to able to, whatever you're converting now, let's say out of 5 people that you have a sales conversation with, if you could add 1 or 2 more to that equation, what would that mean for you in terms of revenue, profit, and ability to help more people? And that can really be astounding. One of the things that I work on a lot with coaches, especially because they're usually uncomfortable with selling in the sales process, is using stories in selling. Because when you tell a story, first of all, it's always authentic, natural, and comfortable. More importantly, people listen, right? We've been trained since the cave days to be, our mind engages when someone starts telling a story. That we can't even shut that off. If you start an interesting story, all those little voices in the back of my head that are typically there when you're being sold to, like, what are you doing? You can't afford this. Why are you on this call? You've got stuff to do. Get off, When you tell a story, all those little voices quiet down, you're active listening, you're engaged, and it's much more impactful. And so what I work with coaches on is not, there's a key to how to develop the story, but more importantly, when to use the story, right? There's a right time, right place to tell stories, and not, there's anecdotes and there's stories. So a lot of coaches make mistakes in terms of not providing enough detail and not making it engaging. So I could go on literally for hours talking about stories, but this is just one of the easiest areas to, if you're uncomfortable with sales, is craft stories, your story, starting with your story, which is what Josh helps you with, and then stories of client successes. And just one last tip on this is that if you're starting out as a coach, if you don't have that many client successes, we all started there at some point, right? But whatever expertise you had to become a coach, you have tons of stories in your past about people you've helped, about companies that you helped succeed, or people's lives that you affected or changed. You can draw on all of those stories. It doesn't have to just be stories from your actual coaching clients.
Yeah, you can borrow stories. You could borrow credibility. You can absolutely borrow. That's actually a very powerful tool I used to use when I was in the financial industry. So 100%. And the other thing about the sales conversation is, some people, I like to ask them, like, when does closing begin? Yeah, I know closing is kind of that sterile term, but when does closing a sale begin? And you can make arguments that it begins long before the sale ever happens, long before the conversation ever happens. And I know that's where Jay really shines, is every step of that process. Even before you have that conversation, how do you prepare yourself? How do you make sure you're in the right state of mind? How do you have the right stories? And that's so critical. So,
when you mention closing, most people think of that Alec Baldwin movie, where
coffee is for closers, or
Glengarry, ABC, always be closing, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. There's a guy named Neil Rackham who wrote a book called Spin Selling, and as part of the research for this book, he they did studies on many thousands of salespeople, and they actually found an inverse correlation between closing more often and success in the sale. It actually, the more you close, your success rate went down. So it's exactly the opposite of what most people think about.
So then you go to how you define closing. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, I could talk forever about that. Let's keep things moving here.
So all of these fatal flaws basically is how we get some awesome coaches, people that have incredible ability and incredible purpose and talent, but without the business that can keep up with them, without the business that's really feeding them, feeding their lives, feeding their wallets, and feeding their souls, right? Because this is really why we get into coaching. So what are the options then, right? What are my options? Option one, Josh, Jay, you're full of crap. I'm just going to go eat more. I'm going to become a a druggie. I'm going to go pop more pills, go find more easy pills. And, one of these times I'm going to find the right one. Okay. Hey, no judgment here. If you want to keep that journey going and go find that, that's fine. Maybe it's out there. There's still things that work out there. Marketing does work, but it works only after we work. That's the only point we're making. So that's option one. Go for it. It sounds easy, but long term, it's kind of a killer, just like any drug addiction. Option two, DIY, right? Do it yourself. Go Google branding, watch some videos, get some sales books, all that kind of stuff, which, by the way, do it anyways, right? Absolutely. It's always good to educate yourself. But I want to caution you on one thing. DIY does not mean less expensive. We get into this mindset of like, oh, do it myself, I get to save money. Not necessarily, because if you think about it, technically everything is DIY. If you have enough time, energy, and money, you can learn how to fly a plane and go fly yourself cross country and get your own plane or charter it. Like everything's DIY. You could do your own root canal if you want, but there's some things that maybe you shouldn't be spending all your time, energy, and money doing that you can bring in an expert. So option three, Mr. J.
Learn to fish. So, so this is, so here's the thing that, I'm sure you've been on many webinars like this, and hopefully you're gain some knowledge from that experience, but knowledge only takes you so far. That, you can get all kinds of knowledge over a long period of time with the DIY method of, you watch enough YouTube videos, you can figure out just about anything. If you take enough courses, you can figure out things faster, right? Because at least you've got somebody who put together the course supposedly who knows something, and you get that knowledge from doing that. But what really is where the rubber meets the road is transferring that knowledge into skills. So Josh and I talk about there's three things that you need. You need knowledge, you need assets. In other words, you need to build assets that you have at your disposal. But the third and most critical component is the skill. And that's what we mean by learn to fish. The only way you develop skills is with a coach. I shouldn't say the only way, but the fastest and best way, right? Because what a coach does, and coach, like, I don't have to be the greatest salesperson in the world to be a great sales coach. I am the greatest salesperson in the world, but no.
I won't argue that.
But you need to be able to provide feedback. And what coaching does is provides a feedback loop, right? So the only way you develop skill is with practice. And you learn the basics, right? You get the knowledge, you turn it into an asset, and then you start practicing. And that practice is what takes it into a skill. And the reason we mention that is because what we're going to offer you tonight goes beyond just the knowledge part.
That's right. So it's 6 weekly mastermind group coaching sessions. So this is the skill aspect, and this is part of the asset building, right? If you don't like the word asset, you can use the word tool. So it's great to know dentistry. I mean, I keep using the dentist. I don't know why. I don't have any dentists in my family, but right, it's good to know dentistry. It's good to have the skill on how to do root canal, but you also need the tools. You need the assets, right? You need the equipment. So that's part of the mastermind group. And by the way, this is actually, I want to make this very clear. There's the word mastermind has been hijacked by a lot of networking groups, and it's gotten watered down. I just want to let you know, this is actually a true mastermind. This is where you get to put, we're going to call it love seat, but it's really the hot seat, where we go bird dog and get everyone together and work on a very specific challenge you're having that particular week. So a true mastermind is not about solving world peace. It's about getting the pebble out of your shoe, that objection you got, that stumbling thing you did, that you messed something up in one of your sales presentations or something, that we get out of your shoe, and now you can put your shoe back on and run, right? You can move forward again. That's how a true mastermind is supposed to work. And then, of course, the coursework on top of that. So module 1 is micro brand, right? Micro branding. So what is micro branding? Well, it's very simply getting your core clarity around exactly why you exist, why your business exists, why you put 2 feet on the ground every single morning. Like, we get up because that's biological. We have to wake up, but we don't have to put 2 feet on the ground. And I hope there's another reason. In fact, I know there is. It's called your purpose. but there's a reason why you put 2 feet on the ground every single morning, and it's something other than money. There's some purpose, there's some reason why you do what you do. That's got to come out, and not just in what you say, it's got to come out in what you don't say. So it's got to come out in how you carry yourself, in your confidence, in your conviction. So we go into how do you develop that? Your purpose, mission, vision, stand, all these brand assets or tools, let's call them, that you get to use in all your messaging. How to increase your sales confidence, of course, and then realizing you're the only unique thing in your business. That coaching has become a commodity, and that's fine. I'm not bashing that. That's fine. It's something that could be duplicated. It's something that is very common now, but you are the only unique thing in your business right now. So that's got to come to the front of your message. So how do you do that? How do you create this compelling brand that attracts people, like Jay was talking about, magnetically attracts people towards you? So that's what we start with, because that brings the clarity. Then in module 2, we get into prospecting and networking. So now when you get that #1 business question that you know you're going to get asked, called, hey, what do you do? You know how to answer it in an effective, persuasive, powerful way. And just so you know, the way not to answer that question, you don't answer it with a borrowed title. You don't answer it with your name. You don't answer it with your business name, your product, your services, your good looks. Oh, thank goodness for me, right? Your personality, none of those things, your logo, all those things are not your brand. And that's not how you answer those questions, which is how most people answer. So we're talking about how you're going to differentiate yourself on every single first impression through networking. And by the way, this is not using scripts. I love nothing more than to strip the script. Someone gives me a script, I go, gone. We do flow. Flow is, there's no scripting involved. Now it's the flow of energy and it's the flow of emotion. And guess what? You get to be a human being again. You get to bring your humanity out. And then the goal of every prospecting networking is not to make a sale. It's to get to the next impression where the sale can happen. So how do you do that? How do you get from every business first impression to the second? And then module 3, presenting. So now you're in front of a larger audience. How do you give a killer presentation? And I don't mean one where you're up there with like product, or, you know, statement, because the #1 rule of presenting is just don't present. It's having a conversation. It's having a one-on-one conversation with 10,000 people at the same time. And there's a skill to that, and you can learn it. How do you tell your story? And how do you tell the right story? Not just your story. I don't want a biography. Nobody wants to hear a resume. Nobody wants to know what your locker combination was in high school. How do you tell the right story? The one that draws people in, the one that makes people realize that you were where they are. See, that's really what you want to get across. And then overcoming this BS fear of public speaking. Let me tell you, no one's actually afraid of public speaking. There's deeper stuff there that we can get into. And then speaking as a business first impression, like how do you get out there? How do you find avenues to get your message across, to shout your message from the rooftops so that your ideal prospect comes running at you? And then this is the end of selling. This is officially where you're no longer chasing, begging, hoping, pleading, convincing people to do business with you. Now they're coming to you because, well, they're in love, to be honest. That's kind of how it is.
And I know some of the people on the call here, and this whole concept of fear of public speaking, using speaking as a first impression is perfectly suited to some of the people I know on the call today.
Good.
So
Awesome.
all right, so let's talk about module 4, which is how to sell like you, coach. Talk about why most coaches hate selling, reasons people don't buy, how to avoid the biggest selling mistakes, selling strategies that convert, how to increase your sales confidence and sell with authenticity and integrity. I want to touch on the confidence part because I always say sales is 80% confidence and 20% art. There's
100%.
lots of ways you can gain confidence, but the best way is to develop those skills, right? Because if you know you've got some basic skills, then you can convert those skills into the art, which is the 20%. But your belief in your ability to do that is really what gives you the confidence. So when I talk with people I do sales coaching for, I tell them, look, my job is really to build your confidence, right? you have no interest in becoming a super salesman. You don't want to be, in Alec Baldwin's movie. You just want to be able to not have that fear of selling, to feel that you're selling with authenticity and integrity and selling like you coach. If you could accomplish that, already you're way ahead of the game. Module 5, we get into stories. And I'll tell you a story. I know a coach who I actually think very highly of, who just recently did a launch of a program to teach you how to tell stories in your coaching practice. And it was I think it's an 8-week program for $1,500. And that's all you do is learn how to tell stories, which is great. And I love this coach, but I'm just thinking, like, come on, we don't need to spend 8 weeks on stories. There's lots of other things we could be spending 8 weeks on. Let's, condense it. So in this one module, we spend a lot of time about and to have an exercise to develop your stories and really work on them. The other thing is that I talk about often is the ROI. It always comes down to ROI, always, right? Return on investment. Now, most people hear that expression, they think about money, right? Sometimes ROI is return on money, but often it's not. If you're a life coach or you're a healer, there's not typically a money calculation that you can do to figure out what the ROI is. But until you can get someone to focus on that ROI, you are nothing but an expense. Whatever you're proposing to them, even if it's the easy magic pill, is an expense until you can get them to focus on the ROI. And that's not a one-time conversation. You got to do that every touch you have in the sales process. All right, module 6 is follow-up calls and strategies. Again, recognizing that your first calls, discovery calls, are just to solidify that trust and get them to a point where you can present in a longer meeting or whatever your follow-up process is. Some sales are more complex. They require proposals because there's a multi, people making the decision, or you have some kind of a complex offering. So there's all kinds of variables here, but the point is that this last module is where we talk about everything that happens after the discovery call. I teach a framework for handling with what is in the sales process called objections, which are really just concerns and fears and questions that people have that often kill sales dead right in their tracks because you're not sure how to handle those. We talk about that. I'll teach you that. I will teach you how to fish on that exact topic instead of giving you some script for what you should say in certain situations. So as you can see here, basically what we've done is there's 6 modules in this course, and this is just the knowledge part, where Josh does the first 3 modules, and it's all his expertise that he's been teaching coaches now for years. The last 3 modules are my expertise that I've been teaching coaches for years. We put them together into this program.
That's right.
Let's talk about the mastermind here for a minute.
Yeah, so I already kind of gave you an idea of the mastermind, how we do a true actual mastermind. But this is where we're going to be giving more one-on-one attention, more, individual attention on getting those assets created. That's what we really want, because I know Jay agrees with me on this, but I'm a huge fan of deliverables. I'm a huge fan of people walking away with actual tangible things that they can take and tools that they can use in their business, not just feel good, kind of the intangible aspect, which is there too. That's a big part of it. But that's really what we're going to be doing in these group calls and in the masterminds.
Oh, sorry, that was me, wasn't it?
Oh, no. So 2 extra for the price of 1. And like Jay said, we're taking our stuff we've been doing for years, and we're like, you know what? You're kind of like peanut butter. I'm like chocolate, and maybe we should just put this together. Maybe it'll taste really good. And it turns out I've seen his content, he's seen mine, and it's like, holy crap, this is amazing. So we're like, we got to offer this to folks. We have to put this together and share it. So between my modules and what Jay's doing and the weekly group coaching, we're looking at $10,500 just of value, just pure, tangible and intangible value all together.
Yeah, and we're not making that up. I mean,
No.
those are actually prices.
That's actually our price.
Yeah. We put this all together, the 6-module course, and then the 6 weeks of masterminding for a price of $3,000. If you think about that, that's 3 clients. If you're charging 1,000, hopefully it's 1 client because you're charging 3,000. Because we're launching this program tonight, we're offering it for $24.97. That's going to be the price for the launch that we're doing here over the next couple of weeks. But what we want to do is, well, first, Josh, talk about the guarantee a little bit.
Yeah, we want to guarantee the results. Like there's absolutely zero reason why you would not be able to pick up an extra client or 2 or 3 or 5. I've seen even in the 6 weeks that we're working together, just by taking some of the assets we're creating and some of the skills that you're building and applying them right away. And in fact, we're so confident that we're going to guarantee it, that if you don't actually get back your investment during those 6 weeks, we're going to keep working with you. Heck, we're going to pick up the phone and we're going to close some. We're going to help one of your prospects that you've been working on, whatever it's going to take. And we're going to use the exact same stuff we've been teaching you. So if you got to borrow some of our confidence in the meantime, that's fine. But failure is not going to be an option here. We're not going to let you fail, not at this price. There's just absolutely zero excuse, zero reason for that.
But we got some bonuses for you too.
Oh yeah, that's right. So bonus number 1, this is a fun one. Being a LinkedIn legend. I go on LinkedIn a lot, right? There's a lot of my clientele are on LinkedIn. A lot of my prospects obviously are on LinkedIn, people that are in business or trying to get their message out there. And I go to their profile and I want to vomit. I'm just absolutely horrified at some of the stuff in their profile, some of the ways they have their headline, their tagline, their profile, that they don't even have any recommendations because they probably never asked for recommendations. There's a whole list of things that I want to take you through on how to absolutely maximize your LinkedIn profile and really become a legend, because you're going to be in the top 1% of all profiles out there by the time we're done.
And I have a bonus called Find Your Profit Why. This is an exercise I do with every client that I engage with. Every entrepreneur, I believe, should look at this. Simon Sinek taught many of us, some 10 million who watched his video on finding your business why. It's important to know your business why. I take it a step further and say, what's your profit why? Why do you want to make money at your business? Not how do you want to make money or what you're going to do with profit, but why do you want it? And there's no right or wrong answer to this. It doesn't matter whether you just want to stick it in your pocket or finally take a vacation or just invest it back in your business or donate it all to make the world a better place. That all are good answers, but it's important for you to recognize why you do it and then work backwards to what you're going to do with that profit and how then you're going to start to garner that profit. So that's a exercise I do with every one of my clients. What we want to offer to you also is a fast mover bonus. Anybody who signs up for this course in the next day is going to get this bonus session and bonus coaching session on how to organically attract the right people into your funnel without spending money, right? This is the whole thing about, okay, well, we got to attract some people, right? And we're telling you, put a pause or skip the whole, let's build a fancy sales funnel and use paid ads or lead gen. You still need some people coming in, and we're going to give you a bonus session just to talk about that.
And these are things that we've used personally ourselves with success that we just want to share. Things we've made mistakes, we've screwed up. So we don't have to tell you, we'll share all the mistakes that we've made and the successes and give you kind of basically a head start, get you off to a great start on doing this organic version of attracting folks.
So this is some of the stuff we're covering in that bonus module. Let's recap here. You're going to get 6 course modules, 6 group coaching sessions, 2 bonuses, 2 bald guys for the price of 1. I'm going to say that again.
Come on,
2 bald guys for the price of 1. No need for additional marketing expense. You're getting an ROI guarantee. So here's the deal. We're going to make a special offer for you for tonight. It's only $19.97 to get all of this. And we're going to start the group coaching next week. You'll be able to come to 6 sessions. You'll have time to go through most of these modules between now and then. And this is if you sign up now. But here's the thing. We talked at the beginning about profits are personal. We understand that some people can't make a knee-jerk decision. We understand the last thing we would want is anybody to, you see this in webinars a lot, right? If you buy before that webinar ends, you get this. We understand. Last thing we want is somebody waking up tomorrow morning and not thinking they have any regrets, right?
Yeah, here's we believe that if it's the right thing right now to do, it's also the right thing in a couple of hours, in 12 hours, tomorrow. So if it's the right thing, it's the right thing. And we know we're going to move forward with you if that's the case. So we don't need to put this, right now. If you don't do it right now, that's it. Yeah, we're going to put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend this offer for 24 hours, but we'll put our money where our mouth is. If anybody wants to jump on a call with either of us tomorrow if you have questions, you want to find out a little bit more about the program, how this is going to work. We put our calendar links in the chat, and we've cleared our calendars for tomorrow. So all we're going to do tomorrow is talk to people who are here tonight, answer any questions about this program, and because we want you to feel comfortable about going into it.
But don't wait, because when our calendar fills up, that's going to be it. So, we can't make more time, unfortunately. There's only 24 hours in the day.
Yeah. So this is your incentive for making a decision, making a purchase in the next 24 hours. And then the last thing I need to do here is give you where to go if you're ready to sign up. So in the chat, I just put the link, which will take you to our page where you can see this summarized and go ahead and sign up for the course. So with that, we want to open it up now for some questions. Anything that you'd like us to repeat that we didn't cover, any other clarifications we can make to help you in making a decision whether to move forward, or you can just ask questions generally about all of anything we talked about.
Except for the jokes, my mom and dad jokes in the beginning. That's we'll keep those off limits for now. But
yeah, hopefully most of the people now didn't make the beginning of the call, and they
all right.
They missed all of that.
You're gonna have to come into the program. I'll share more jokes. Absolutely. No, actually, it's funny. There's I just read an article about emotional intelligence and how self-deprecating humor is one of the key indicators of someone with a high emotional intelligence. And as you know, Jay, it works well in sales conversations when you could be relaxed, when it's not just sell and focus on product. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, I've had so many failures in business that it's very easy for me to do self-deprecating humor. All right. We got a question here. This is from Frank, who's asking, what happens after the 6 weeks?
Yeah, good. That's actually a good question. So currently we have plans to continue working with everyone. After the 6 weeks, we're going to have an offering to continue our work together and to go into other places based on what that person needs. So we don't have it, nothing we can share yet 100%, but every program I've ever done, I've always offered people, I know Jay's done the same, offer people to take the next step after that and to continue their journey. So we will have something, but what that's going to look like, we're working on that right now.
All right, I'll take this one. Here's a question from Carla asking about what do we cover around ROI? So basically in that module, we talk about, I talk about a lot of things around ROI, but we talk about how to have that conversation and then to repeat that conversation over all of your, so if you have a 3-call sales process, so it's 3 meetings before you actually get somebody to sign up. I teach you how to have that conversation on every one of those meetings. And I teach you about if it's a monetary conversation versus a non-monetary conversation, meaning, if I'm teaching you how to sell and you're getting new clients, and those clients are worth an average of $2,000 per client, right? Then that's the monetary part of it, right? That's easier to teach in terms of, okay, let's walk a client through the math. Say, just like we're doing tonight, you buy this program and you get $2,000 out of every client. It takes one client for you to break even, just one. And that's why we offer that guarantee. Like, we fully expect no one to ever have to ask us for that guarantee to honor that, because what we're going to give you in both just with the course alone, but then especially with the mastermind, you're going to get way more than one client out of this. There's just no question about it. So, Carla, I appreciate the question. And I don't know if I answered it, but we'll talk a lot about what ROI means, how to get there, and how to talk to people about that so that you aren't perceived as an expense.
Awesome. And we have another question here, which I will take. So he says, would you say this mastermind is focused on selling ourselves and selling our coaching? Which absolutely, how to authentically sell, if you will. We can use that word. And he says, and how are we getting the message out about our programs out to the world if we're not using funnels? So I'm going to answer that question in two different ways. And then Jay, you're welcome to chime in also. Obviously, the first thing, like we talked about, is how do you organically attract people? How do you, there's so many avenues out there to get in front of audiences without having to go through the entire funnel sequence, without doing that. So that's what we want to share. But really, if you look at what we're doing, we're also not saying to never use a funnel or not to use marketing, but let me define precisely what marketing is, because there's a lot of confusion out there. Marketing at its absolute purest core is an amplifier. All it does is it takes a message and it makes it really loud, okay? But here's the problem. People think marketing is everything. It's the message, it's this, it's that. But if your message is poor, if your message is confusing, if it's not authentic, if it's not compelling, if it's just, well, let's face it, there's a lot of garbage messages out there, then all you're doing is you're amplifying garbage, you're amplifying junk, and that's going to cost you a lot of money. So really what Jay and I are talking about is focusing on the human pieces, the messaging on both ends, and that is your foundational piece. That's what lets you feed any kind of marketing funnel that you decide to do with the right content, with the right message, with the ones that's going to bring people in. So it is still working on ROI, right? It's going to take what you're already doing. Let's say you already have a funnel or you're already using marketing. It's going to take it and it's going to raise the ROI in that very significantly, just because you got the right message.
Yeah, I totally agree. I want to add one thing about the authenticity part, because that is key to everything. And I know, that's one of the reasons that Josh and I hooked up originally, because I first met the guy and I was like, man, he's authentic, like he's real, and I like him. And even though he tells bad jokes, and authenticity.
That's why you like me. Come on, let's admit it.
It truly is everything, because there's also a thing that we talk about where, you're not trying to market to everyone. You need to find people who fit with you. That whole calling a discovery call a fit meeting is perfect, because that's really what you're trying to do, is just discover if there's a good fit. So, I'll take myself, like, you either like me or you don't. I am who I am. I will drop F-bombs on calls. I will be inappropriate at times. I can't help it. That's just who I am. That's.
And by the way, that's why I like you, Jay. Not just your sales
because I drop F-bombs.
But I like you because you keep it real like that.
Yeah. I don't think I dropped one all night tonight, so I'll take that. So that being authentic to who you are is the key to selling, right? And especially for a coach, because what they're buying is your authenticity. You're not buying, as Josh said at the beginning, they're not buying, how you do what you do. They're buying you and your authenticity, and that's really the key to getting clients.
100%.
All right, Josh, I just want to remind everybody that tonight, for the next 24 hours, it's $19.97 to get everything we've talked about tonight. We do have a 2-payment plan option. If that makes it easier for you to swallow, you can do 2 payments of $11.97. If you go to the link that's in the chat, which is yes.skipthemarketing.com/mastermind, then you will get to all the information you need to be able to join the course and get started with us. So it's just beyond the hour. We said this would be an hour, so let's wrap
We do
this up.
one more question, Jay.
Absolutely, go ahead. Yep.
How do you track the guarantee? So do you want to take that or do you want me?
Go ahead.
So we're doing the honor system, to be honest, on the guarantee, the ROI guarantee. So yeah, we're gonna lay our trust in you. Like if you say and we're gonna be part of your lives, by the way, for 6 weeks. So it's not gonna be something that's gonna be difficult to track, but we don't have a system, nothing like that. This is gonna be the honor system. And we're gonna be a little picky who we bring in for that reason, right? There's got to be a good match. Not every coach and every person is a good fit, as you all know. So we want to work with people that have that level of integrity. And if they honestly say, no, we didn't get this, we didn't get, that extra client or 2 or 3 or 5, which again, would be very surprising, then we're going to make sure that happens regardless. But we're going to use the honor system. So hopefully that answers the question.
All right, again, I want to thank everybody for coming. Your time's valuable. We appreciate it. Our calendar links in the chat if you want to set something up to talk with us, either one of us tomorrow. If not, hope to see you in the course and in the mastermind and help you to get more clients without spending money on marketing. So for Josh Zeppis, I'm Jay Fairbrother, Skip the Marketing. Thanks very, very much for coming.
Have a good night, everyone. Absolute honor and a pleasure.